Hey, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. Talk to yet another former manager, Carissa. She wants to get a podcast started, so we talk about how to do it. Let's hop right in. Let's go.
How do I get my message out more, both video stuff that I already am creating, and then what else can I add from a podcast and audio standpoint?
Yeah. And the videos that you're doing, is it more the like branded stuff that you had, or is it interview style? And because basically what I'm getting at is, can you rip the audio from the video and like turn that into a podcast, or did you want to be more?
The vision for the videos is very esoteric, branded, emotional connection, because where my brand connects with people is on that level. Like, I'm going to get people who dig an inspirational quote that I post on Instagram and then go, oh, they do real estate? Oh, that's interesting. Like, yes, real estate's what we do, but it's kind of a subset of the brand umbrella, which is forming meaningful connections with people and elevating each other through a process, which just happens to be real estate.
Yeah. And I would run with that, because I mean, you make a lot of great connections. Everyone loves you when you connect with them. I mean, it's the intent is there. And so I think it still needs to be around real estate in a sense, but not like how-tos or anything like that. But it's more like, what was the process like, and just bringing people that you're working with and just kind of documenting the journey. It is tough because, one, going through the buying process is already a lot of time, and trying to get them to come in and actually talk, that's
yeah,
tough.
But I think after the fact is super valuable, because I mean, I just got an amazing testimonial yesterday from a client. I posted, I don't know if you saw it yet, but usually it's during the process, especially people who have been through real estate transactions before and maybe not had the most smooth ride or stellar agent or best outcome. Every time, if I'm bringing them into my house and we're buying or selling or whatever we're doing, they're like, this is nowhere, this is a whole league of its own, of the experience that's provided. Like, they all say similar things of, it happened way smoother than I ever thought it could. Things happened almost magically. Like, I didn't think that I would get that house, or I didn't think I'd make that much money from selling my house, or something that's normally been super stressful for me wasn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be like, it's all me, I'm the best. It's the brand that I've created, the standard of excellence, along with the focus is on the connection and the person, and how together we collectively create something amazing, because it really does feel magical. It sounds super woo-woo, but it really does. Like, from the beginning, if I'm setting intentions with my clients to think bigger and be bigger and come from this higher place in themselves, they do.
Yeah.
And I'm holding space for them to do that. And my whole team and my partners and everybody I work with, that's the philosophy. So it's not, yes, we get all the like financials and all the things that you have to get done. It is a business transaction.
Yeah.
But when you keep people's kind of eye on the prize of this elevated place in your life, they rise to the occasion, and all these amazing things happen.
That's cool.
So,
and I mean, through that, there's a lot of, I had a bad experience, and it's going over that experience, and what was it that you did that helped, and it's getting those stories out, that it's going to be, I mean, as you get some of those out, like, this person was struggling to get a down payment, this person was struggling with this, they didn't, and these are the types of things that you can kind of have title the podcast,
richer like deeper content about.
Yeah, some people are looking for like, hey, I'm having trouble. It's almost like a how-to, but you're it's not like a how to get through finance or anything like that. You're just using other people's stories and what they went through, because that's ultimately what, like, once you get in the conversation and start talking, it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. For, like what you were just talking about, people that go through the life events, you just got married, divorced, kids went away, whatever it is, like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about downsizing, get a bigger home and all that. And it's those things that once they start listening, it's, oh yeah, I've been thinking that. And then as you answer how you help solve it, then it's like, okay, I hear it. It makes me more comfortable to reach out. And at least it helps start that brand trust on, I mean, exactly what you're saying. The reason why people like working with you is not because you're like, here, let's show you as many homes as possible. Let's try and sell this as quick as possible. Like, you're there to help make the experience good, and explaining how that works, telling the stories is going to help people see that process. And when they get more comfortable with that process, then that's whenever they decide to reach out. Cause I'm sure there's so many people on the fence, but buying and selling a home is a huge process, and it's not one that's typically fun to go through. And so
especially selling's the one that people feel more pain, because even though it's a seller's market and it's competitive on the buy side right now, I can mitigate that and make it not feel painful for clients. But when you're selling, it's still, especially more when you're living in the house. There's people coming in your house. You got to make sure it looks really good all the time, and coordinating all that. And it just becomes very stressful. I want to say it's selling your home, buying and selling, but moving and especially selling your home it's like the second or third most stressful thing for people in their whole lives.
Really?
Other than like death and divorce.
Dang.
Oh, and this is not to make light of it, but divorce and splitting usually means real estate deals. Like, typically there's often 3 deals. I'm not like shark feeding, like chumming the water with like, hey, I want a bunch of new divorced people. But I mean, I've represented people in those situations. So when there's a divorce, it's additionally stressful because you're trying to probably liquidate a property and then potentially buy 1 or 2 other properties if people are going their separate ways. So, I mean, and I actually my newest team member that I just brought on, that's her specialty and target market is people going through stressful life transitions. Namely, usually it's divorce. In today's day and age, it's, very statistically relevant. More than half of all marriages are, and she's been through it, and she knows how to help people navigate the financial implications, the real estate implications, the emotional support implications. So she's got a whole subset that's really a cool target and market to serve.
Yeah. And that's all you'd be doing with the podcast is, like you said, she's gone through it so she can help people navigate through it. There's a lot that comes out in each of the individual transactions that is a story or something that would resonate. You help someone navigate through it. And just by doing more and more and more, it's going to get out there. And it's as people listen, it'll just be like, okay, that was a fear. But after you explained the process, I'm less fearful. Yeah. And it might help people just reach out.
Especially with buyers, there's tons of fear. First-time buyers.
Oh, yeah?
So much fear.
I mean,
there's so much that they don't understand, so they just choose non-action. Yeah. Which, you want to know what else is scarier? Paying rent your whole life and having nothing to show for it. In my book, that just sounds like the worst thing ever. The whole commitment for first-time buyers sounds scary, and there's all these unknowns, but still people think, I need a bunch of money to buy a house. No, you don't. Yeah. You need 3%. Yeah. If you're military, you don't need any money.
Oh, wow.
There's VA loans. It's free money. Yeah. Like, thank you. You served for us. Now we'll help you get into a house for nothing.
I mean, even getting Alex involved would be huge.
The lender side.
Yeah, I don't know if you always run through her or anything like that.
Not always, no.
Yeah, but that would help. I mean, the process from start to finish and all that. But even then, it's there's a lot of things that just people don't know, and it's that down payment for the first time home buyer. But most people don't.
I run into that all the time. Yeah, I'm working with clients right now that thought you needed 20%. That's what people think. Yeah. The laws changed. I'm bad with dates, but they changed. I think it was in the 80s, and then for sure in the early 2000s to encourage. 2009. Well, not that. That's different. That's for restrictions on assets and the type of loan product. I'm not talking about the bubble. I'm talking about the requirement of, it used to be you needed 20% down to buy a house. So that's that old thinking, like maybe their parents had to buy a house that way. So that's what they think you need. No, 3%. So for the average median, the mean home price in Maricopa County is, I think, sitting right around 262 right now. Okay. So 3% down on 262, you're looking at
less than $9,000. That?
Yeah,
$9
grand.
Yeah.
If you're budget conscious for even 6 months to a year, most people with a job and not ridiculous spending habits, you can buy a house. Yeah. So
it's just a matter of figuring out what you can afford on a monthly basis, and then factoring in the PMI and all that, and after taxes, and then that's all it is. But it is a lot more. it is easier to get into something than most first-time home buyers think. Yeah.
Right. And if they've been lifetime renters, beyond just the fear of not understanding, you're not in control of where you live. You know, your landlord or the property management company, they control that. It's the same as like job versus business owner, right? You're not in control of where you live long term. Excuse me. You're not rent controlled. So rents have risen over 50% in the last 3 years. So,
wow, really?
Yeah, like a 1-bedroom in the neighborhood I live in South Scottsdale. Yeah, it's Scottsdale, but it's like dumpy Scott. You know, it's like South Scottsdale. It's not like Scottsdale. But a 1-bedroom's rent down there for like $1,200 a month.
That is insane.
You can buy a house with 3% down for about $200,000 at $1,200 a month. Yeah. So why are you renting? Yeah. And then you have a fixed payment for the lifetime of your loan versus it's $1,200 this year. Oh, we had a 5% increase. You know, before you know it, that $1,200 is $1,500 in 2 or 3 years. And that's $300 difference. Doesn't sound like a lot, but on the course of a 30-year fixed mortgage, yep, that's a ton of buying power. You could get a really cool house or townhome or something for $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah. And
so
it's just one huge process, and people just need more insight into it. And I think getting a podcast going would be huge. I mean, it's as easy as this. I mean, just sitting down, having microphones and talking.
As we're sitting here talking, I think the way I'm starting to see this like flush out to work in concert with the stuff I am doing from a video and branding perspective is the video and branding is top down. It's, hey, this is what we're about. Does this resonate for you from just an emotional standpoint? And then that's the reach that has. This is bottom up. This is the nuts and bolts, like supporting. We know what we're talking about, and this is answering all the, I don't understand how this all works. That really, you kind of need both.
Yeah, love that you said that, because there's going to be people that like to feel good, and that's going to get them in, but then it's the podcast and the how-tos that's going to get them comfortable to reach out. But then also the how-tos and all that helps with organic and actually get found when people are typing in those questions. They get there and then stumble on the top-level videos and go, okay, wow, not only do you know your stuff, but your intent is there. It's something more than I'm a real estate agent. I want to buy or sell, or like help you buy or sell a home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Beep, boop, bop. That's yeah. I mean, and they're in the real estate industry. It's really cool just the timing of this conversation, because the last 2 days I was in full day negotiation training. And it's a certification you get, like it's legit. Like I now have additional letters to put after my name, you know, alphabet soup or whatever you want to call it. But it's relevant because there were key stats shared in that, like, I think it's less than a fifth. So basically 80%, 80% of people in any given market do not trust real estate agents. For whatever reasons, realtors have a mistrust that comes along with them because either somebody got screwed by one at some point, somebody just inept, they were inept and they screwed them over somehow, not on purpose, not maliciously. Plus, I'm a salesperson. Yeah. I mean, I don't like to think of myself as a salesperson. But I am. So people generally don't like salespeople.
No, sold.
Right. And then of course people still have, if they remembered, still have a little bit of a bad taste of what happened with the crash and the bubble in the real estate industry like 12-ish years ago. While realtors didn't cause it, you know, anybody related with housing kind of just gets this blame of like, you're all crooked and da-da-da-da-da. So there's a large trust barrier to be kind of that hurdle to get over. And then you bring into the marketplace all these direct buyers like Open Door and Purple Bricks and all of these places. And from a seller standpoint, people are going, well, I don't need an agent, right? I can just sell it to them.
Yeah.
You can, for sure. And it works for some situations where maybe you can't show your home because, I don't know, there's a medical issue and someone's in the house. There's situations that it totally makes sense for. But generally speaking, at a minimum, you're going to get 12% less. 12% less, which it adds up. 12% is a lot.
When you start at 260K is the average.
I just had the testimonial that I was talking about that I got yesterday. I'm actually going to read it because he probably wrote it more succinctly than I could even explain the whole scenario. He went out, he was recently divorced and selling a home in a good area like South Scottsdale, North Tempe. And he thought I actually only represented buyers. He didn't know I sold homes too. Again, there's all these misconceptions about who are you? What do you do?
That's why you need to do more to communicate.
Right.
Like it's, yeah.
So he wanted to talk to me about buying a place. I'm like, well, what are you doing with this house? And he's like, oh, well, I got an offer. I checked into Open Door, and I'm like, ugh. Okay, what was it? So I went through it with him and looked at it and looked at the numbers, and I know the market pretty well. I'm like, oh, well, I said, if you're really in a rush to sell, you could. Or if you want to list with me, for sure I can get you at least 15, probably 20 grand more. Yeah. And the fees are less. So like people think, sure, it's no hassle. And Open Door does an amazing job marketing of saying like, you know, you don't have to pay commissions to realtors and you don't have to have people in your house. And the marketing works.
They take all the biggest fears in the real estate and
they take the pain points. They take the pain points and they speak to them, and it's genius. Yeah. And here's why it's also genius. The offer they make it's not a lowball offer, but it's at the low end of the market range. Yeah. Then they charge a 9% transaction fee. 9%. A standard realtor is only going to charge you 6% to list. Yeah. So, But like once they've already got the offer and they're like, this is solid and I can close when I want to close, it's like you forget about that stuff.
Everyone loves their time. And so that's the biggest thing they're selling is like,
convenience.
We give you all your time. And
totally. So they charge a 9%, and I'm not like bagging on Open Door. Yeah. It totally makes sense. And I'm like applauding their business model, honestly. So they charge a 9% transaction fee. Then they have, they factor in title costs and fees. And then they charge repair costs, which is in a typical sale, that's like the inspection period when the buyer would go, hey, we want these 5 things fixed. And the seller goes, okay, or we'll do 2 of them, or here's a credit because we don't want to fix it. And on average, those repair fees that Open Door, it's the same idea. Yeah. It's not a private person inspecting it. They just go through and they go, all right, it needs paint, it needs flooring, it needs counters, because they're either going to buy it, hold it, and rent it, or flip it. Yeah. And on average, those fees are $10,000 to $15,000.
Wow.
Huh? Yeah. So now you're sitting at 12 to 15% less than what the offer that they gave you. So it doesn't sound,
which is already lower offer. Yeah, lower
it's definitely
offer
not market high. Yeah. So if your goal at the end of the day as a seller is to make more money, like walk away with more money in your pocket, for sure don't sell to an iBuyer. Like don't. Yeah.
When you sell, do you want to sell it fast or do you want more money? And then basically how you answer that.
Totally. And if your time is worth whatever that ends up being, 10, 15, 20,000. Yeah. In this case, net, it was more than 50,000.
Wow. Well, you can do with $50K.
Yeah. So I'm going to read his testimonial real quick because it's so good. Okay. So he says, this woman is brilliant. After getting an offer on my sale from a house purchasing company with 9% fees, Carissa predicted she could get $14,000 more with 6% fees and sell it in 2.5 months. She ended up getting $34,000 more on the top line than the home purchasing company and sold it in 4 days. Then on my purchase, so he sold and bought. Then on my purchase, there were 3 full price multiple offers on the first day the house went on the market, which is very common right now. Really? It's a competitive buyer's market. Not every property, but good properties. And this one hit and it was perfect for him. And I go, we got to go look at it because it's going to go. Despite my offer being sale contingent, meaning not incredibly strong, her connections with local realtors and relationships resulted in my offer still being accepted, and both closes, the sale and the purchase, went incredibly smoothly.
Wow. I'm like... right there is a 10-15 minute conversation that I mean, that's that stuff right there. And plus, as you, like, what was it like going through the Redfin or Zillow, whatever the process was. So then people get insight and like, hey, I'm thinking about doing that. All of a sudden, by giving people information and what the process looks like and this stuff, it's like, okay, now it just helps make more sense. And then it just it just gives you a better chance of someone who stumbles on your stuff to reach out, just because you're highlighting all the process. You're making it easier. Everyone hates the unknown, and that's essentially what you're doing with the podcast. Plus, it's just fun. Like, once you get it going,
you could get me talking about my brand or real estate, and I won't shut up. Obviously, as I'm going. I like it, and I think, just getting a better understanding of like the cadence at which something like this should be done, what channels to push it out to, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I would say, like, I think a lot of people's mistake at first is like, we need to post 3 times a week, and it's a lot of work to, especially if you start throwing the video in there too and all that. But it's so it's like maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month. I mean, once a week would be ideal if you could, but like I said, that's a matter of logistically getting people scheduled and then actually coming in, doing it at, like, it's
but
a lot.
I would think even a half an hour of 15 minutes or half an hour,
15
that's
to
like
30 minutes is perfect.
Okay, I was gonna say that's like a ton of small snippets along with the full full episode, if you will.
Yeah. Because basically what we do is, we'll take, some of the informational one, like the how-tos, will 15, 20 minutes. But then what we'll do is from that episode, we'll get like 5 or 6 clips that are like, basically use them as previews. And then we're going to run those on Facebook, YouTube, and like, interested in learning more, check out the full episode, then drive them to the episode page. And then that's when the retargeting comes in. And
cool. And again, like I'm still just making all the connections of how this fits in with what I've already got in place for my brand. Like I said, I'm doing the bi-monthly videos that are more brand videos, the feel good. Wow, who is this? I want to be part of this. And I'm also going to be doing bi-monthly networking events similar to the launch party, where I launch a video at the networking event. Then I'm asking a few people from my community to share, like to put them on highlight and spotlight them about whatever they want to share about. Maybe you want to come talk about podcasts. Yeah. Maybe like the first thing I have slated are someone on my team and then also a few of my clients who do Airbnbs. Because that's like a hot topic of how can I cash flow a property or my garage or my shed in the back or whatever. You know, people want to cash flow, figure out how to make residual their income. Assets more valuable. Yeah. So it would be something that's either share-worthy or educational or whatever that topic is. And I'm already canning that content, 3 months out. Yep. So I can just float in podcast stuff around that same topic because I've already got the people lined up.
Exactly. And so when you do the workshop, I love what you're doing with the workshops and everything, because even then, like, if you're doing the talking, you can just mic yourself up. And then as you're talking, there's your podcast, because it's still informational, but now you're not having to take another, all right, what day do we need to produce? You're documenting what you're already doing, and you can turn that into content.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
And even then, if other people are doing it, now you're not even having to talk. Say, hey, I'd love to highlight you on my podcast.
That's
and now
the idea.
It takes a little bit less of you and includes more people. So now you can reach their audience. They can, your audience will see them, and it just helps each other grow. And so as someone goes, hey, I was on your podcast and got some lead, whatever it was, it generated some opportunity. You're gonna have people reaching out, hey, how can I be on yours? And now you're just starting to create this community and network. I'm literally getting goosebumps right now. Like that, I think
it's the right. Yeah, you're dead on. And it's funny you said that. All through my planning and launching, and then even since I've launched of Evolve, I was getting constant goosebumps about the logo and then the video and then the idea and then seeing people's reactions to it, because it is this thing I have created, which is, yes, I'm the core of it and it's about who I am as a person, but it's far more larger and bigger than me, which is why I didn't create a team called the Carissa team or the Vivirito group, or because that's limiting in my eyes. Plus, we all have egos, we're humans, but like that's too much ego for me personally. I'm fine being like in the spotlight, but I don't need to be. Yep. And the whole vision of Evolve is that it is this larger platform that is something people aspire and want to be part of and join and create their own evolutionary content or life or house they buy or business they create, or it's a lifestyle brand. It's not just about real estate. And so the idea with highlighting people at these bi-monthly events and then doing exactly what you're talking about, it's all in alignment with it, which is you want to be part of what I've seen I can create. Awesome, because I can see where you're going with what you're doing, and it's all interconnected and related, and I want to showcase that. It's not the freaking Carissa show. It's not the, welcome to my event again. You heard me talk the same thing 2 months ago. Like, it gets old, and no, I want to learn more, and I want to put other people in the spotlight, and because then it gives me new ideas, and we all feed off each other. So
it's essentially creating a community that everyone can kind of, just grow together. And you're just creating more opportunities for people to want to be part of that. And because your intent isn't just, I want to help sell homes or help people, like your intent is there. So it's like highlighting that, especially like, I mean, the videos are great, but people can hear this and your voice and the excitement and that. And people want to be part of that excitement. Like they can hear that it's not just you trying to help buy or sell homes, and like people want to be part of that. And like if you have 4 people like that can all do the same thing, someone's gonna go with whose intent is better because they're there to help you out rather than try and make.
Or it's not even about better, or it's whose intent do I resonate with the most.
Yeah,
because I'm not for everybody. If it's a client who's solely about numbers and very analytical, left brain, I rock it with all that stuff, but that's not my differentiator.
Yeah.
That's not my value proposition. So that I can 100% serve that person, but that's not probably the person who's going to be attracted to Evolve. Yeah. They might think it's all fruity and fluffy and unnecessary, and they don't care about getting some cool free t-shirts or dog drawings, which is cool. Cool. Be like, get a bottle of wine when you close. That's fine. I'm totally talking shit now, but you get my idea. Yeah. And there's this really cool, I forget who it's with. There's a few different places that do it, but there's like 12 standard, it's like a wheel of brand personalities. You may have seen this before, but there are things like the Adventurer, which would be a company like REI or Patagonia. There's the Creator, which is a more innovative, like a Google or something like that. It's really cool because I designed my whole business vision last year of before I even named it Evolve, and wrote my vision, which in a second, actually, I wanted to read it today so that you guys could all hear it and to set the foundation of like where all this goes moving forward. So I created all that. And before I took this brand personality quiz as me, like I wasn't taking it as my business, my business is me, but I took it as me. And it was almost verbatim the things it said to do when you are this brand personality, which is the lover or seducer. They're brands like Victoria's Secret or Dove. They're brands that like make you feel good and like connect, or like there's a few like digital photography brands like this where you're just like, oh my God, I want to be a part of that. Yeah. Like I feel like more than a human now, and this is amazing. And people are just like me, and wow, this is so amazing. And so if you connect with that brand personality of the 12, typically you're also going to umbrella effect connect with the ones that are similar and close to it, or your significant other or friend or spouse is that type. And because you love them, you're all on for that type, if that makes sense. So like, I do tend to appeal to women more, I think, for just what the brand is. But I also, a lot of times it's like the woman may be the primary decision maker of the household, but the husband, because maybe that's not their exact alignment, but because like that's their significant other, they get the value and they are all about it as well. Does that make sense? Oh yeah. Not to say that some men don't fit into that, but I think just gender wise, it's not as common.
That's just huge. I mean, everyone needs to have the same vision and kind of where we want to go and all that. And like, it just helps everyone communicate a little bit better. And
so again, this is something I wrote this last summer as part of a business planning group that I've been in since May. Mm-hmm. So they took us through creating a vision and then your value propositions before I got the name and all of these other things and the marketing, and you have to have the solid foundation of what it all is before you create all that. So
this is literally like the brand identity.
This
like
is, correct. Yeah. It's before I even had the name or the logo or all those ideas. It's just the foundation of what this thing is that I was creating without a name, that now it's named and it's perfect and it's Evolve and all of that. And so you'll hear some of this from my launch video too. Like some of it, I just kept it because it was good. So the vision, this is not about real estate. This is about your real estate. We empower and liberate others. Every client feels like the only client, enjoying an elevated experience full of excitement, encouraged to connect with their own power and intuition through the process. All of our clients seek us out, 70% are repeat referral, and the remainder have found us on social media or at an event. They choose us because they want to be part of something bigger. We are powerful beyond measure. Evolving the traditional team concept, we are a collective of leaders and rise by elevating one another. 3 members strong, we produce at levels typical of groups 4 times our size. The triad is made up of Carissa and 2 other sales agents. Members are compensated on competitive split commissions, each investing in the growth of the brand, with new experiences enjoyed together when goals are realized. There's some more tactical logistic stuff and then more like personal financial breakdowns, but you get the gist. I've built something that fulfills this, and you were verbatim saying some of that stuff a couple minutes ago about like it's people who want to connect and be part of this larger thing. And I'm like, yeah. Literally,
Isn't it
that's
cool that
what
you
I
had
wrote.
This vision and literally you had someone else just explaining like what they see, and that's
It's
very in line
so
with.
amazing. And I've had clients come to me that since I launched Evolve saying it's so cool to see something beyond just you represent exactly how my experience has been working with you. You know, like Evolve and that video and all the things that I've worked on coming out since then. They're like, that's been my experience. It's exactly how you work. Yeah. And then this is pretty cool too. The value propositions, in any business, you compete from not any, but any service business typically, and especially real estate. There's 2 areas that you can differentiate yourself on. One is technical, like technical skills, negotiation abilities, how to do research, how to price things, contract law, all of that stuff. The technical abilities, and then also the customer experience. And I clearly differentiate on the customer experience. However, I run an extremely tight ship, both personally and my team, from a technical standpoint. So the way the themes of these value propositions work is that you figure out what your niche is within each of those, which one you do compete on better, or I guess offer more value. Yeah. And then you name it, like you give a name of what it is so that it kind of gives some personality behind what your vision is.
Makes sense.
So from a technical standpoint, I named my value proposition, that's a given, not from like a duh, like we got it, but really kind of, we got all that. Yeah. Contract negotiations, we got it. Get you the top price, done. Like, I mean, and this is not just me blowing smoke. Like, talk to any of my clients, look at my stats. And I say but our, I mean, the team. My files are super clean. My contracts are clean. Like, I'm pretty OCD about that kind of stuff. And then to me, the piece that I really compete or offer more value on is the customer experience theme. And then I've named that theme, I believe in the good things coming. And the idea of this is that no matter what, even if deals don't work out, everything always works out exactly how it should, always. You put the correct intention, you have the right knowledge and skills and have faith behind it. And if all parties are in on that same thing, magic occurs. Yep. It just does every time. Even like I said, if it doesn't work out the way that someone thinks and they're all heartbroken, oh, I really wanted that house or whatever the upset is, or, oh, that buyer left, we have to list it again. I'm like, it always works out. Yeah. Maybe you're going to get more. And, oh, wow, you did get more. Yep. Or maybe the next house was even more perfect than the one that you lost. And it always works out. And thankfully, my clients get it and they buy into that. And I hear them a lot of times, and you can even look at other testimonials where they're like, you said I would know, I would know, and that it wouldn't hurt if I lost a couple, it might be a little upsetting, but like the right one would come along and you were right. And I couldn't believe it. And it was more perfect than this one. And that's what happens when everybody truly buys into, this is our intent. We're not attached to this thing or that thing. We do the work. Yeah. We show up bigger than we normally would in maybe everyday lounging around type life. Magic occurs. Stuff where you're just like, that, I can't even believe that happened. That was unreal.
Yeah. And I mean, what you just explained is kind of the mental side of things, like how you navigate hurdles and all that. And I think that how you're portraying the brand, it articulates that type of mind frame that everything is going to be, it's a more positive feeling. And like when you get thrown a curveball, you can either strike out or sit back and hit a home run. And that's essentially what that is like kind of got knocked down, but the brand that you have you don't even know what's going to happen in 2 days. You could it's keeping that
and
positive.
It's from the beginning. And that's why when someone comes in with that mindset, that it's going to be this amazing, like transformative, empowering experience, it is.
Yep.
And they fulfilled what they intended to do. I didn't do it. I didn't find the house. I'm not a magician. I didn't get it wasn't me. Yeah, I'm skilled at what I do, but it's them. They have to show up the same as I'm showing up for this all to work. Yep. They mean clients, partners, whoever I'm working with, my teammates. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm sure you've experienced this both in your personal life and with business stuff. It's like, yeah, when everybody has that high intention and they're coming from that space, it totally always works out. And it usually almost always works out way more bigger and better and amazing than you originally thought. Like, oh, my budget's not that big and I guess I'll settle for this kind of house. No, like we're gonna find you something that you're gonna be so proud and thankful, and just don't even think that way. Yeah. We do not allow those thoughts.
Yeah, no, I love it because it's like,
get it out of here.
If I want something and something happens where I can't get it, and like, I don't know, I just learned that instead of being disappointed, it's like, oh, sweet. That means if I was that excited for that, when it really happens, it's gonna be even better. Like it's and when it's a total, like you were saying, it's a complete mindset. And once you have the shift in the mindset and the intention is on that, all the energy around it and the energy beyond you, not to get too woo-woo, but that's how it works. Yep. When you move in the direction of what is right for you from a larger sense, all energies, whether you're talking scientifically or esoterically or spiritually or whatever, it's all behind you. It's rooting for you, and it's throwing the next amazing thing in your path. You just have to say yes to it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think you'd be perfect at the podcasting. I mean, it's you clearly love talking about this, who you're trying to reach and how you can help. I think it would go well, especially if you're throwing in the events and stuff like that. You're creating more opportunities to get content that you don't physically have to get, so it frees up some of your time. I think the next what to think through are some of those things that you outlined, like what are your differentiators? Those could be like different segments. Like here's one about customer service. This is where you bring people in and explain the process. Here's the technical side of things. Here's all the different things that we do here's how the contracts work. Here's how, and more on the technical side. But all those things that you listed that are the different aspects could be segments. But essentially what I'm getting at is thinking through the couple different segments. One could just be highlighting other people. One is the testimonials and all that. And then once you had those solidified, then it's just coming up with a content calendar for the most part. And
okay. And I have one started from a video standpoint and an event planning standpoint. So it would really just be filling in. Yeah. And thankfully, it's not just me. I have 2 agents on my team. I've got another 4 to 6 people that are my partners in title and lending that I don't need to be the one that's doing this every time. So,
and I think that's even smarter, because then it's just, you're highlighting other people. And again, it's just, it's a smart move.
Or even sometimes I could be the interviewer and they're the they're the guest. Yep. Which I love asking questions. Yeah. That's how I sell. I just ask questions. That's all I do.
Because it's not selling. You're literally just asking questions to figure out what someone needs, and then you just bring some value to what they need. That's very, very simple. Or if I can't,
then I'm not the right fit. But yeah, it's
very, very simple. It's crazy.
That's what all that negotiation training, if I could break it down to like the most simple thing for the last 2 days that I did, that's it. Get more information. Just get more information.
People want and bring them the values that align with what they want. And then you're not selling, you're just showing value. It's insane.
And finding the key, like what's the emotional driver behind it all? Yeah. That's the piece that once you uncover that, the rest is really easy. Yeah. Even when and this goes for the client you're representing, but also the other side. So if you can get to that core on both sides, you can always find a win-win. Always. The only time that breaks down is if you don't have that information. Yep. Because either they're withholding it or they're not being honest.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
Yeah.
once you have it, win-win every time.
And by doing the withholding is just, and that might be a trust thing, and that's where the podcast comes in. You help build trust by highlighting your knowledge, what other people are saying, how you get things done. And then once you do connect, people are going to be more willing to share because they know that your intentions are there. I mean, it's just, I think it's just a win-win-win to do it, especially if you can fold it into the calendar that you already have. It's like, be cool to look at what all video things do you have, and all right, what can we do to be there as well? Because it's, you talking to people is where you make your money. So having to schedule a whole different time to do a podcast prevents you from talking to them. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And
That's
so,
like part of the even growing my team and my business and the infrastructure. The reason I was planning it all for 6+ months is because you need that structure in place to grow. You cannot scale a person.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I could clone myself, but no.
Yeah.
Like, so having all that structure in place to be able to know what are all the topics and who's the best person to do them and how can we duplicate these people that are guest speaking at my Evolve Connect event next month to then just rip all that and make it podcast content.
Yep.
God, I love it.
There are a ton of ways that you can document what you're already doing and turn it into content, and then that just alleviates some time, which everyone always complains, I wish there was more time in the day. And that's our entire goal, is to figure out how we can connect with the business to document what they're doing rather than say, hey, these are the commercials we want to shoot, because then
Yeah, I mean, the video stuff I'm doing is, what you're doing is more of documenting what's already being done.
Yeah.
Just being there when those discussions are happening or intentionally setting that time up.
Yeah.
Whereas like the video stuff I'm doing is much more a marketing play. It's this is the script, this is the slick canned thing.
Yeah.
Not that it's just this slick salesy thing, but I mean, it is meant to be a 1 minute, oh my God, I'm crying. That was amazing. Who are these people? What is this? I want to be part of it.
each thing has this job. Like, one is the podcast could just be branding and building your life. The short videos are sales. I mean, you need to have a little bit of everything because they all work off each other. And so, I mean, from us, I mean, we could help from anywhere from showing up every time with all the equipment, editing, everything, to if you handle that, we could distribute it and then help you turn it into episodes. I mean, we can chat.
I'm always going to highlight someone from the community to talk.
Yeah.
Always. And it's always going to be either a client or a friend or what, a business, someone, it's someone I know.
Yeah.
And even just that, the first one I have slated for next month, like I said, it's going to be Airbnb people, which Nicole on my team has been running a super successful one out of her converted 1-car garage in her house.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's just so cool to hear. And now she's directly connected with one of my amazing repeat buyer clients. Well, they sold with me too, but they've bought more with me. They bought 2 homes on 1 lot in Arcadia that were not super updated and have been remodeling them all to rent both of them out as Airbnbs. So the resource on my team of her being expert level at doing that stuff is help connecting them directly to help with them as they grow theirs. I have another client who did the same thing, bought a house with a pool in Old Town Scottsdale, have been Airbnb-ing it for almost a year now. So, and I already invited, I'm like, would you want to talk for, I don't know, 10 minutes about
Love it. You're
your experience?
You're already feeling
And they're like, oh my God, I'd love to. Because maybe I'll get more, exposure and bookings.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Please come talk about it. I'm not the expert. You guys are. And that, 3 different people giving 3 different perspectives of maybe 20 minutes of content total.
Yep.
It's gold.
Yeah, exactly. It's just figuring out how to capture that as efficiently as possible.
And there'll be something like that at all of my bi-monthly events. That's how I'll launch my video. I'll say, do a welcome, and then I'll hand it off to whoever's speaking that month. That part, I think, should for sure be recorded.
Yeah, I mean,
every time.
If you want to just be super efficient with your time as they're speaking, get that, but then you could be mic'd up and as you're walking around just talking. I mean, that just your everyday conversation, that people love that too. So it's like you're getting 2 pieces of content in the one.
I'm just what just popped into my head is like some Tony Robbins shit. I'm just I'm walking around, and I just lean in and call people out. Anyway, it sounds really fun. I'm excited about it. Cool. Well, I'll wait for your follow-up stuff.
Cool.
And then we can loop on time, because I think that's a no-brainer. Those are things I've already got in the pipe to do. So if we can duplicate that and you reuse that content,
figure out how we can just come in and then document what's already scheduled, and then
in a cost-effective way, and then see what makes sense to backfill on top of that as well. Maybe that's like what I start with for the first few months. See how it goes. If we've got a good flow and process down, add some more. Because like I'm even already finding, like I didn't even plan on adding another agent already, but she came to me and she was a perfect fit, and I'm like, well, I know opportunity when I see it, so come on board.
And it's funny when you have it all planned out and it sounds all good, and then you get a couple days in and it's like, oh wow, all this is happening. And isn't it amazing?
The last time I reread that vision, I hadn't read that vision that I just read to you in, I don't know, 4 months maybe. And I read it again like last week to my team actually, because I'm like onboarding and training the new agent to our team. And like, I started crying. I was like, oh my God, it's already all happened. Everything already happened. I guess I better write a new one that's like bigger or something, or I don't know. Like it freaked me out because when I wrote that, it was just me going, we are a team of 3. Like I was just being like, this is what it is. And now it is already 6 months later.
I mean,
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going back to like when we were at the Wayne Smith, like I did not ever envision having a place like this, having 3 people. Like it's.
But when you set a clear like end game or medium game or whatever, wherever I'm at, whatever that destination point is, and you just have flesh out all the clear pieces of it and take action every day toward it, you don't even know how. You do not need to know how you're going to do it. It just happens. It just happens. I'm not the expert on how. I mean, on technical real estate stuff, yes, but like I didn't solicit to get another agent, but I knew that's kind of how, based on what I've created, I knew that's how it would happen.
What you're doing.
I'm like, what I'm creating is, I'm throwing out this thing that I know is going to attract clients, agents, partners, all of these things. So I'm not going to ever have to be in a position to go find these things. I'm going to be in a position to go, wow, look at all these amazing things. Which one or how many do I say yes to? Like,
instead of you trying to find everyone, you're just doing this, and it attracts that. Like you basically just, it's inbound marketing. I mean, instead of spending your time going out cold calling, selling, and all that.
Even my business model is the same way. It's fear. Personally, it's fear. So people I know, and then people they know, and then it's social and it's events. Like that's where I get my business from. I don't buy leads. I don't cold call. It's just, time. It just is not in alignment with my brand or who I am or what I enjoy doing. It doesn't mean they're totally valid, amazing business models. It's just not for me. And, and even like in the vision of all of our clients seek us out. I mean, like I put it in there. I'm like, I don't go get clients. They get me. They get us. I don't know how that happened. Right? I didn't know what you're creating. I create the stuff that supports that, and it magically happens.
Intent is everything.
Magic fairy dust. What was that? So another thought I had that I'm gonna, as part of my like homework after thinking all through all this, is I'm very about like the brand and naming things and like having it very intentionally thought about than just being like, we're doing a podcast, like tune in. Right. So it's like Evolve, and then Evolve Connect is the events that are coming up, which is perfect because that's what it is. It's people connecting, it's connecting with us. And then it's even, but point is, I want to brand whatever this ends up being. And then probably even have like subcategories within it. Like we talked about.
I think you should have those couple segments. Like one is allowing them, one is the customer service, one is the how-tos, the technical. That way it's like
creating my buckets for my highlights on my Instagram stories.
Exactly. That's
or creating a website design of what are the sections. Think
exactly.
Ahead of time, and then the content falls in.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited.
Me too. So good to go. I mean, if you want to, you could give a little shout out on who you are, where to find you, and all that.
Oh.
We can add that in there too at the very beginning.
I'm Carissa Vivirito with Evolve. And the brokerage, real estate brokerage that I'm with is North & Co. Evolve is my team and my brand. You can find me at iloveevolve.com or on Instagram at Carissa Viv or I Love Evolve. And it's whether you type with both E's or the shared E, it's optimized for both. So you'll find me and you'll find us. Because I did the shared E because I think it looks messy when you have I love and then another E, evolve. Plus, because of the design of the love being like the part of the word evolve, I wanted the shared